And in this webinar in particular, I want to kind of talk about all the federal assistance that so far the businesses are getting, and what specifically the small businesses need to know, because uh, some of those programs, they sound really big. So one client, one small business just have one person on payroll, and it just had a business in the basement, then you felt like maybe those are not related to you. So I'm hoping that to briefly talk about the program and at the same time give you more understanding of how that apply to teeny weeny small businesses, right? One of my clients even said that he didn't really want to tell anybody he has a business because, and other than his taxes, he did a Schedule C, but the rest of the world doesn't know he was doing something because he was too ashamed of saying anything and just got divorced. And the wife already don't, look up to him. And he wants to build something and secretively, and didn't even know that he can come out and get those government government assistance. So this is why we are here today. This is what I want to talk about. This PPP program, okay? This PPP program, and a lot of people knows about it, and a lot of businesses have already done that. But what I want to bring here is that I want to talk to our small teeny weeny businesses. The gentleman I was talking about, and he was doing businesses in his basement. He just newly divorced, and I guess he really felt he failed. And so he is doing the business in the basement, sort of secretively, not to tell the ex and not to tell people. And he came to our office and, want guidance. And, so he does his business in a couple of years already. I really think that eventually he'll get out. He has done a certain, a invention that would change how, how we open the garage door, let's put it this way. So it is a very useful invention. So hopefully he'll be big, but right now he's a small business and he has expenses, very small income, and he filed 1040 and Schedule C. So he is looking at the PPP, say, do I qualify? So let's look at the qualifier for PPP really quickly. We're talking about the second round, right? The first round is already gone. So the second round, that you must have declined by 25% or more in any quarter of 2020 compared to 2019. So this gentleman has a sole proprietorship, and he actually has a 2019 Schedule C already filed, and he is about to file 2020 Schedule C and 2020 taxes, and he need to decide whether, and he has that 25% of decline in gross sales, in the income that he received, even though he didn't make money, because his income is 100,000 and his expenses was so big in 2019, he actually had a loss. But in 2020, he actually have a profit, but his total sales went down, even though he has a profit. So a lot of small business are in that boat. And in this case, what happened is, and he felt, well, I made money, I'm not qualifying for this. No, it has nothing to do with whether you make money or not. It has a lot to do with your total sales. So read this again. So this is gross receipt. If it is declined by 25% in any quarter compared to 2019. So folks, don't forget that. Then the other qualifier, it is an or, like you don't have to, your gross receipt may be higher, but in this case, and you are this is or, right? No, this is the only one. You know what I am thinking? I'm thinking of ERC. So you see, I'm not perfect, right? So whoever says I am perfect, you don't know me. My goodness. Anyway, so, and make sure that this eligibility, you keep that in mind. It is related to gross receipt. So our teeny weeny small business owners sometimes don't get that. They think that's what they're asking is the profit. Of course, the other categories, we are all qualifying because I'm talking to my small businesses. You don't have more than 500 employees. So you are sole proprietor and you're a partner of a partnership, right? So this is where that you can get for the PPP2. Let's say my example of my client who does the invention, and um, he actually can take 2.5 times of what he earned. Remember, he didn't make anything in 2019, even though his sales was 100,000, but it's new, so he spent so much money on other things. But in 2020, even though he made less, he only had about 60,000 for the whole year, so he's really down. But he had a profit, so that profit allows him to get PPP. So this is what I call the line 31 profit. On Schedule C, if you look, there is a line number called line 31. You take that number divided by 12 times 2.5. That is the PPP2. So now, and I just said that you can get that PPP2. And we also have clients who come to us, small business clients, come to us, oh, Ying, I know I qualify. I know I can get it, but I don't know how am I going to spend. I'm not going to do payroll, and I don't know how to do payroll. I don't want to do payroll, and that I just don't want it because I can't pay. I don't know what 60% payroll means because I'm a sole proprietor. 60% payroll means that you will have 60% of the PPP funds to pay to yourself. Do you know how to write a check to yourself? Okay, that is what you do. That doesn't mean you have to pay Social Security, Medicare withholding. You don't have to do 941 filing. We're just talking about paying to yourself. Okay, so this is where we're trying to gauge the understanding of the PPP. What means by payroll expense in sole proprietorship setting? Payroll expenses is your line 31. So you want to make sure that your line 31 is 60% of 2.5 PPP, the 2.5 times your monthly getting. So that's your total PPP. That amount, 60% of that should be the check you write to yourself. And are you going to write that in right away, or are you going to split it into weekly, monthly? That is up to you. But again, the forgivable cost, it is not hard to come by. And we don't want our small business owners to worry things that is not even relevant. And you need to look at your situation, see whether you are qualified or not. Okay, so this is where I want you, if I didn't talk about anything on here, you can take a picture of it, but make sure you apply if you are one of those people I'm talking about. And on the, people who get PPP, some of my small business owners also say to me that, well, Ying, I don't like loan, so I'm not going to do it. I don't want to pay it back. I don't like to borrow. And the PPP really is not meant for you to borrow. The PPP has a forgivable cost. They already tell you what that is. 60% has to be the payroll, which means that if you are sole proprietor, 60% of that has to be a check written to yourself. You cannot write 60% to community CPA on service. No, that is not eligible forgivable cost. But you can write 60% to yourself. So that's your payroll. And you can write the other expenses on utility, on, personal protective cost, PPE, right? And so look at the list. Look at the list, you see it. Expenditure to suppliers that are essential at the time of purchase to the recipient's current operation. Did you hear that? At the time of purchase. It doesn't, so what if you bought at the time of purchase is essential, after it arrives, is no longer valid? Does that happen to you? Of course, it happened to me. So I ordered something to get my front entrance totally renovated, so people can do touchless pickup. And the weather, the supply, you know what? By the time I get everything installed, which is cost me so much money, and it won't be useful. And but it is at the time of purchase that was eligible. So that is eligible. Okay. So what I'm trying to say to you is you will find eligible cost. If you don't, you come to us, we'll look at your case and we'll tell you which is eligible, which is not. And the idea is that if you got $5,000 PPP and you would not end up in a loan situation, it will be forgiven and you will have that 5,000. This is what the government wants to do. The government really, really wants to help you. And if you are a small business, you are struggling and you also don't get any help from the government, I would first question that which part of my thing and is not fitting. Maybe this is not something you can apply, but something else you should be able to apply. If something else you cannot apply, maybe other things you should apply. I mean, I have, I don't think any one of our clients, and I know, did not have something that is coming through, whether it's an unemployment benefit or state grants or federal grants. So they had something that is helpful coming to them. Okay. And hopefully we are at the tail end of the pandemic. And I really wish that, because this January to right now, it is so hard for our business as well, because everybody wants to come in and we don't have enough space to host that social distancing measure. We don't have enough equipment to protect our client and our staff to all be safe. So it is really is you have to take it slow, and we only have 4 safety tables, so we have to figure out how to make sure that everybody is safe, and we all try to not occupying that place for too long so we can meet more people. It's just hard, and hopefully things will get better, but at the same time I want to make sure that you really take a note and to apply. And what happened is the PPP2 ending date is March, the end of March. And right now, 51% of PPP are used. 51%. You can still do it, okay? You're not late. So the next slide is actually real life example. My client said that I don't qualify because I do not have payroll. I already answered that question. If you're a sole proprietor, you don't have payroll. If you're a partner, in the 1065, you don't have payroll, but you can. If you're a subcontractor, you got 1099, you don't have payroll, but you can. Okay. And I don't qualify because I did not have a good books and record. That I say, why don't you have it? Right. So this is where small business, a lot of time we think of book and record is sort of a surplus. It is like, well, I have money, I do that. But it is so wrong. And when you are in business, I would say books and record, a good accounting, it is almost like in your household, there's a good housewife and a houseman there for you to go home with a warm meal while you are working. You really have to find that support. And in my first book, I talk about people. I classify all business people coming from land of heart or land of hand or land of head, with 3 type of immigrants coming into business land. So I tell you why you don't do books and records, because you are one type of business owners. You're coming from this land of heart. You don't care. You just want to do business. You are engulfed by your vision, by your dream, and you don't think book and record is something you care to do. But here you go. If you don't have a good book and record, yes, it is difficult to do any government assistance program. It doesn't matter. It is PPP or ERC or the state funds. It just is all out of window because you don't have that. So I'll say that you should. So we have one client. He did not do his books and record from 2015, but we knew that he qualifies for PPP. So what we did is we actually caught him up all the way from 2015 to the current, to 2020. So I just had a meeting with our accountant and we gone through the record. We knew that he qualified. And so we got that done. So you do need to have it. And once you have it, you can go ahead and apply. We still have time. There's a 49% of funding still sitting there for people to claim. You know, my small business client also say that, oh, I don't want to apply. I'm too afraid of audit. Okay, folks, PPP has nothing to do with audit. You're going to get audited anyway. Okay. So if you're in business, you should do well. You should do good books and record. And even if there is an audit, there's nothing to worry. And everyone get audited. Not everyone, but everyone should get audited. But the government don't have that kind of manpower, so they don't. Okay. And some people get selected to be audited. You have to be, in your mind, you need to treat audit as one of the natural progression when you are in business. So with that, why are you afraid of audit? You know, it is, as long as you're doing it right, there is nothing to worry. You should not be worried about audit and then not do that. It's almost like you worry about it, go to bathroom and you don't eat. It doesn't even make any sense. So I'll say that, you know, that is not excuse. My business started right before pandemic. Oh, I have too short of time. I started right before pandemic. It is not going to happen. And that's not true. And if you started right before pandemic, and there's a safe harbor rules, and there's also, you know, I think the rule says that before February the 15th, if you started before February the 15th of 2020, you qualify. Okay, so you just need to dig in deeper and then look at how exactly you can qualify. So being short, I didn't start business like in 2019. That's not a reason. I applied and then my banker never got back to me. Oh, that's a famous one. I have so many small businesses goes, oh, Ying, yeah, I sent everything to my banker and just nothing came back. You know, I haven't really got time to look at that. And do you think it's too late? No, it's not late. You still have time. And if your banker don't get back to you, call the banker. And if your banker still don't reply to your call, you have many other bankers to look for. You don't have to stuck in one place, right? So that's not excuse. I have to pay back if I don't spend it right. So much trouble. So my small business owner said, no, it is not like that. Do you know that the money you get is free? It is like the grandma's mason jar money. You don't report that as an income. You don't report that as a reduction to your expenses. It's literally money in your pocket from grandma. So why don't you want it? So no excuse. And this is what I want my small business owner to be aware. And if you haven't really got on PPP, questioning yourself, why? Okay, so much about PPP. Let's talk about ERC. So I have 4 big topics I want to talk about. So ERC is my second one, and ERC has 2 different types. One is for 2020 year, one is for 2021. So for 2020, the ERC is a $5,000 per employee maximum. Okay, so maybe it started in March 12 all the way to December 31st, 2020. And if you meet those credentials, eligibilities, and you can apply, but the maximum is $5,000 per employee, okay, to get back. You say that, well, what do you mean by getting back? I mean, I didn't really pay a lot of taxes on payroll, and I just pay myself. And I only have payroll for myself. Yeah, then you get $5,000 back, okay, for yourself if you qualify. So for 2020, this is done by the CARES Act, right? So the Reappropriation Act came back. They made amendments, so they took away the PPP requirement. Remember, before in 2020 under CARES Act, they don't allow people who received PPP to apply for this. That is gone, so you can apply, and it is a it's an eligibility you want to meet. That eligibility in 2020, just remember, is 50%. What that means is it's a 50% gross receipt, not your profit, ladies and gentlemen, not your profit, your gross receipt, 50% less than the same quarter of before. If you don't have that quarter, let's say your second quarter of 2020 is the lowest, but your second quarter of 2019 you didn't even open yet, then compare yourself to the third quarter. That's in the act. Okay, so you go for the first one in your 2019. And if you are opening in the first quarter of 2020, then you compare to the first quarter. So the comparison is either to the same quarter or to the first quarter or to the quarter before. The it's called the safe harbor rules. Okay, and then once you compare, if it is 50% down, then you eligible. And other than that, there's another way to be qualified. If it is your state had ordered sheltering in place and no business can open, you know how you were not opening business, so that makes you eligible as well. Okay, so with that you can apply. So I want to go ahead, show you what that is. This is 2020. We're talking about 2020. 50% of qualified wages up to per employee, up to 10,000 per quarter. Maximum credit is 5,000. So this is, like I said, in 2020, it doesn't matter how you shake it, you only get 5,000 per person. Okay. And you make the calculation, then now you file 941X to apply. And if you don't know how to calculate net 40x, I actually have a webinar. I did do it yourself last Tuesday. It should be on the YouTube channel already. Just go there to look at how I fill up that form. Okay. And then the next, I want to show you this example. This is an example on Tuesday I showed to people, and I had a very good response from listeners. They were telling me to repost this particular slide so they understand. So look at that. It is 2020. 3 employees in the company, right? 20,000 a year, 40,000 a year, 120,000 a year salary. And the gross receipt drop in each quarter. So quarter 1 dropped 10%, quarter 2 dropped 55%, quarter 3 dropped 30%, quarter 4 dropped 18%. So in 2020, that quarter 2 qualifies because it went down by 50%, right? And the quarter 3 also qualified because it did not go up to this 30% did not become 20%. If it has become 20%, then this quarter is not qualified anymore. So in 2020, they're talking about consecutive quarters, like quarter 2, quarter 3, or quarter 3, quarter 4, or quarter 1, quarter 2. They're talking about these kind of connection. But in the next quarter, if it did not go up to 80% of the total sales, then you are still qualified for the consecutive quarter. So in our cases, 2 quarter qualify. So look at the calculation. 5,000, that's a quarter 1 wages, right? Because for someone get paid for 20,000 a year, each quarter is 5,000. Am I right? So 5,000 times 50%. So that's how you calculate. And that 40,000 each quarter is 10,000. So 10,000 times 50% is 5,000. And that 120,000 is just way too much money, and they're capped at 5,000, so we got 5,000. So quarter 2 ERC refund is 12,500. Look at quarter 3. Quarter 3, and we only have 1 calculated, the other 2 were 0. Why? Because the maximum is 5,000. So even though quarter 3 was qualified, but because the other 2 people already maximized, so that's why it's 0, then you only have this 20,000 employees, half of it. So you got 2,500. So the company total getting is 15,000 refund from 941 amendment. Okay. So that is where the calculation for 2020. So you still have time for 2020, folks. Okay. And if you really think your 2020 has something like that, just be sure to do it. If you don't know how to do it, you can always come to Community CPA and we'll help you. We will do that. Obviously, we charge a fee, and it is not going to have you leave out $15,000 benefit. That is what government hand over to you. You just go, oh, I don't want it. Thank you very much. I think the White House should write you a letter for being so good, so considerate of grandma's mason jar money. So real life experience. Business started on the third quarter of 2019. No problem. And if your second quarter of 2020 was down, and you compare to this one, to quarter three, okay? So business started in January 2020, and business was booming. I made a lot of payroll, but second quarter come around, I went down. Okay, you can do that. You can do ERC claim because you can compare to the first quarter. And I do not qualify because I do not have employees. What do you mean by that? Did you pay yourself a salary? Yes, I did. I just paid myself. So you qualify. And whether you paid other people salary or not, it is irrelevant. We're just talking about employees. Are you employees of your company? But of course, if you're Schedule C, sole proprietor, you're not. You're a business owner. You're sole proprietor. You're not employee. So that's why you didn't have a 941. So you don't qualify. People must have a 941 for ERC. Okay. But I already told my sole proprietors to go for PPP, right? So you hear me saying that. My payroll company said my payroll is too little to benefit from this. I heard so many of that. And if you are a small business, just one payroll, and you're working with a large payroll company, I guess if one of those agents tell you that, oh, you know what, it's just really not worth it, and I won't be surprised. And this is where I always tell our folks that as much as, you know, the large company, they give you a good fee, maybe, not all the cases. I have seen people paying ridiculous fees for very unpersonalized services. But anyway, so if you are doing that with, say, I don't really want to name the name of the big companies because I'm afraid they're going to go after me. I'm really chicken come to that. So you know what I'm talking about. So they will do your business, but you don't even know what they look like. Not like you know who Ying is, and you don't know they speak English or speak Chinglish, but at least you know I speak Chinglish, right? So that's why we're friends. That's why you're here. Anyway, so if you do run into that, just bring the payroll out and get to a local firm, people like Ying, or come to Community CPA. Do your payroll here, especially when you're small. You should really work your payroll with customized service, because payroll is such a tool, not only for ERC. And if our firm handles your payroll, and when your business is growing, we would tell you that your payroll need to increase, or we tell you that it's time to hire more people, or we tell you that we should do something so you don't have to pay so much taxes through payroll. So all of these things, folks, can only come with a set of service that you are treated as a person, not a number. As soon as you become a number, you know, you lose all those benefits. You're just a number. And, you know, as much as the community CPA is growing, and we are fighting the current in terms of, you know, when we have more clients, how do we still customize our service to each one of our clients? So that is something I say that we are doing really well with that. We have a lot of clients, but I literally, the clients who came to me, I remember them. I know their name. And when they talk to me, I know exactly, you know, what we talked about before. So it's just really, it's a great feelings when I have that one-on-one relationship with my clients. And you need to look for that. So payroll become a very valuable tool for your company. So No, it doesn't matter how small your payroll, you deserve a ERC credit if you're eligible, okay? Now, let's talk about 2021. They're not the same animal. They're very different, folks. They call themselves ERC, but ERC 2020 and ERC 2021 is totally different. Different in many ways. And first of all, the drop of revenue is not 50% anymore. And it doesn't have these consecutive things from 50% dropping to 20%, you are still eligible. It's just too confusing. They got away from that. They say, as long as you are dropping by 20%, you're good. And compared to 2019 again. So same thing works. And you can compare to the first quarter of 2019 or your first beginning of 2019, or you can compare to the first opening of your 2020, right? So these are still applies, but it's 20%. And also, if the government ordered you to close and you are eligible, regardless whether you drop or not. So that is an or relationship, right? So it's not like you have to have both together. It is one or another. So I know the California clients that I have, and a lot of them qualify just by default because they were closed in the beginning of January. Okay, now let's see. And with these conditions, what kind of credit are we getting? So look at this. And the 70% of quarterly wages, and then, you know, my Chinglish is on display. It's okay, you know, people understand me. You know, oh, that's a qualified wages. Yes, 70% of qualified wages up to 10,000 per employee. And so this is quarterly wages, 70%. So remember that example we have? This is the same example right here. Remember that 20,000, 40,000, 120,000. Now is not 50%. So these calculation, if you come down to the bottom here, you see how I do 70%? The 70% of 10,000 is 7,000. 70% of 10, the 120,000 per quarter, that would be what? 400,000? Oh no, I mean 300,000. What am I thinking? Yeah, 30,000. So that is 70%. So they maximized on the 7,000, right, folks? So you see the calculation is 17,500. So what if you still qualify for second quarter? If you qualify for second quarter again, you would get the same thing. Okay, because the maximum is 7,000 per quarter, not per year. So remember that. So it is different. It is different. So how do you claim that credit, folks? And you don't have to do amendment in 2021 because we haven't really done the quarterly 941 yet. It is yet to come. It's in April 15. So folks, if you are small businesses and you're sitting here goes, oh, you know, sounded like I still have time to plan. I don't really know what to do. And take your payroll out of those large companies and come to community CPA. I'm serious. Because that is the only way for us to customize, to know what you need, to really help you to get the credit claimed without filing amendment. Okay, so here you go. And I come back to the same thing and know that is every quarter you qualify for 7,000, not the whole year. So the maximum qualification for the year right now, it is 14,000 per employee, folks, per employee. Okay, if I qualify, I have 28 employees and all of them gonna be on this 7,000 maximum. Can you imagine how much of a refund you are getting? Okay, so really it is about you planning and knowing what you need to do. Payroll, I will tell you that if there is one thing as a small business you want to contract it out to do, it is payroll, because it is complex, it is really timeline driven, and is when you have a mistake, is like you got mud on you and you couldn't shake it out, and you just keep on getting notices like snowflakes, right? And to avoid that, to not get into there, you need to get your payroll done by professional. But by those robot professional folks is not the way to go. You really need to get engaged with firms like Community CPA. Okay, there's many other firms out there, and like us, with the real people. And but of course, I think Community CPA is the best. It is absolutely the best. I'm so convinced. All right, so real life example. I just hired a new employee on January the 2021, thinking the pandemic will be over by January. Now I have to let this person go because I cannot afford. Okay, does that sound like some of our small businesses? Because we gone through the pandemic for the whole year, we were so not willing to wait anymore. And in December, we got on the phone calling this person. I'm ready. I'm going to hire you. I'm going to pay you $100,000 a month to come to join my firm. The person showed up. Pandemic got worse in January. And you stuck with a new employee. Boy, you hired that person with your heart and your soul. How could you let that person go? But in this case, and I hope you're eligible to get ERC, then $7,000 will be paid by ERC credit. Yeah, you can afford that person because you got $7,000 back. Okay, so the next one, I have not paid myself lately. I want to pay myself better salary for the first quarter of 2021. Do you mean that I can apply for ERC, getting some of the money back? Absolutely. You're paying yourself a payroll. And just because you are paying yourself payroll doesn't mean you're not an employee. You're still an employee of the corporation as long as you qualify. So you want to make sure your gross receipt is 20% below. You calculate that below 2019, and then you qualify. Or maybe you got shut down, you qualify. You automatically qualify. So absolutely. And how many of our business owners was doing so bad, and we, some of them went on to unemployment. I didn't, but there's other people went on unemployment and get unemployment benefit and just didn't pay ourselves, just didn't pay. January come, no more unemployment, and what are you gonna do? You still have to pay yourself, so get on payroll and look at the ERC, see whether that is made for you. Okay, so much about ERC, folks. It's really important. Team up with your payroll providers and look at your situation. And if you want Community CPA to help you, we have the experience and we know how to help you. Anything that you qualify, we would never miss it. We will see it. Okay, EIDL loan. I want to mention to folks that there is something I want to talk to my small business owners, because a lot of my small business owners was under my advices and already got a EIDL loan and also the grant. The one that you only got a portion of the 10,000. For example, I know my friend, you're on here and you're on the same street with me, and I know you're here. Remember, you just got 2,000. You're supposed to get 10,000, right, for that grant. And SBA right now is sending that 8,000 out to you. And you only going to get a notification from the bank saying that, you don't have to pay this one back. But it didn't really tell you much about you got a deposit. So make sure you check your bank account, okay? Make sure you got that deposit already. So you should be getting your $8,000. And for those who got 1,000, you should be getting 9,000. For those who got 10,000, you don't have anything. And they're just making up the difference between what got paid, what did not get paid, okay? And the EIDL loan, and if you have EIDL loan, and back last year, I was really concerned with my small business owners. So I told everybody, go ahead and get your loan, get it, because we don't know what's going to happen this year. And right now, are we really done with pandemic? I really don't know. And I felt like we should, but then I have more people I know are getting sick. Okay. So I really don't know. So if you felt like a little better, or maybe you already got the shot, that's good for you. And then maybe you don't feel so stressed anymore. If your business is getting better, you got the shot, and you want to return this loan, and I would say return it, because 3.75 is not a cheap rate compared to what the rate is going on out there. Okay, so there's a lot more better rate out there. So if you refinance your home, you literally got 2.5%. And if you refinance your business property and getting into SBA loan, and you will get a 2.5% of credit for the, it's like origination fee that they don't charge. Then also the first 3 months of payment, the SBA will pay for you. I think it's up to $9,000 per month. And that money will last till September. So there's a lot of loans program out there. Folks, please be aware of that. If you have a large conventional loan from the bank, like a mortgage, and it's a good time to refinance, folks. Okay. And I want to bring this up because I want to tell you that 3.75, 30 years, not good enough, and there's better. But EIDL loan grant is coming out to you. Make sure you have it, okay? And if you say that, well, here, my client story, EIDL loan was 69K, grant only got 1K. So this client of mine will get 9K for sure, guaranteed, okay? Return my EIDL loan already. Do I still get the balance of 10K? So some folks already returned the loan, but they only got 1,000. Are they going to get the other 9? Yes. The answer is yes. Where do I find out I got it or not? Your bank. And what if you closed your bank and then call SBA to figure out how to get that money? Okay. I believe the money is in your bank. Even though you close the bank account, your bank has that balance. You can go back to ask for that. Okay. Because that's how SBA does it. And what if I already closed the bank account where EIDL loan was deposited? Yes. Go back to that bank. Okay. Now, I came to my last item. My last item for today, and it is related to Iowa Rent Assistance Program. This program is not mature. It's not really rolled out yet, but it's a big money, and I want everyone who has rental property, who are landlord, and who are experiencing tenant not paying. Okay, and this is a program for you. And make sure you know that is coming, and you tell me that you got something. I enjoy when my client, through our help, actually got something, and they tell me. And especially if they did that themselves, they listen to our webinar, then they go out, they did it, and so we have no way of knowing it, to really make me energetic about the work I do, and make me coming on webinars every time, and energetically and enthusiastically. And that is how you do it. And I need your support to feel alive, to feel useful, to feel that I am making contributions to the well-being of the small, teeny little businesses. Because you are our jewel. You are the one that gonna carry the community forward, and also carry community CPA forward. I rely on you guys. I'm not, without you guys, I'm nobody, but I really rely on your success to label myself being successful, subordinate definitely to your success. So this is what you see on the screen. Okay. And this is from Iowa Finance Authority. This is the state agency that received the federal grant. So after they receive the grants, they work with the county, with city, to disseminate the money. I do not know exactly how that goes. I know that for some county, like Johnson County, Polk County, they do their own things. That means the money goes to the county. So you see that my next page, actually, you see this link here. Okay, don't get confused with the utility assistance, because the economic authority here at the state agency has that program too. They pay some percentage of the utility bill that you could not afford. Remember, that program was rolled out for a while, and this is not the same. This is actually, it is helping landlord to pay the utility that the tenant didn't pay, and helping the landlord to get paid when the tenant don't pay, so you don't go after the tenant, go for payment. Okay, landlord can either provide tenant with the information to apply, or tenant can complete the application directly. Landlord can complete the application on behalf of the tenant, folks. So if you are a landlord, you didn't get paid by that tenant for almost 6 months. Do you know to do this? You do, right? You're gonna do that, right? So make sure. And the landlord, okay. The landlord would verify tenant information, agree to waive all the late fees. Okay, landlord, you have to waive all the late fees, okay? And I mean, all the landlord I know, all the clients we have for our landlord, their hearts are golden. I have never have any clients where a landlord was such a stickler on the fee and the penalties. No, they're not. Okay, so this asking is like no big deal. Agree to the term of certification not to evict. Yes, not to evict. If they pay rent, we don't evict. So that's what that is. And look at the link. If you cannot see really clear, take a picture of this page, folks, because I want you to know that is coming. I want you to be the first one to know, first one to apply, and the money is yours. Please do that. All right. So much about me talking. And look, this is our little page. Don't you like that cartoon of me? And it feels like it's never get old, and I get old, the cartoon is still young. That cartoon was drawn by one of very talented young artists, maybe about 15 years ago. Yeah, and I really appreciate you're here. I hope you learned one or two things, and put in good comments for me and encourage me so I can be here for a long run. Talk to you. Bye-bye.